Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Pasha, Pakistan IT Industry Association. We are the only national IT association that has been actively working towards promoting IT and tech in Pakistan. We have three main areas. One of them is the policy coordination with government. Other one is branding and global outreach. And the third one is capacity building. Within capacity building and global outreach, we had been able to partner with Salesforce, and we had been able to come up with a series of Salesforce introductions. Our earlier session was more around how the Salesforce ecosystem is growing, what sort of opportunities exist in that ecosystem, how can Pakistan leverage from that ecosystem, and how should we be thinking about it. That was more of an open session attended by a lot of different participants, and the panel comprised of veterans from Salesforce itself. Today we have Salman Sheikh with us. He will be leading the session. He was also part of the panel earlier in the first session. But today's session is specifically about how different individuals or organizations can think about building a career path within Salesforce, and how and what is required to solidify that career path to continuously grow as a Salesforce professional and as a Salesforce professional organization. Salman is a veteran IT consultant, and he had been there in the industry for over 20 years, spent about 16 plus years with Salesforce, still with Salesforce, and very highly respected within the community. He's also an alumnus from FAST Lahore, and I'll just hand it over to him for a little more introduction about himself, and then we'll jump directly into our session today, which is all about building up the career paths with Salesforce. Over to you, Salman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just checking, can you hear me? You okay, right? Okay. First of all, thank you everyone for joining and taking out your time, especially knowing that it's evening time in Pakistan at the moment. Thank you, Pasha, for organizing this session and the previous one, and hopefully the future coming ones. In terms of the introduction, let me quickly add on to what Jamil, you started. So yes, I'm Salman. Salman Sheikh from batch 97 in Lahore from FAST. So I graduated in year 2000. I worked as a junior developer or a developer for 2-3 years in Pakistan before I went to the UK to do my master's. Ended up doing a master's, and somehow I got back into the IT industry, even though my master's was not really aligned to purely an IT degree. But anyway, I found my way back into IT, and then since then, from I think it was 2005, early 2005, that I accidentally got into Salesforce, and since then never left the ecosystem. For the last 2.5 years, I've been working directly at Salesforce, and I'm an architect there. I'm part of the consulting group, and the core job is to implement Salesforce at customers. Other than that, my passion is always to give back to the community, and we have within Salesforce very like-minded people where we are trying to uplift and kind of like do some youth development, bring some awareness of Salesforce, and look at how we can improve the IT landscape in Pakistan. Sultan, my colleague, he's based in the US, and Sadia, she's also based in the US. I'm based in the UK. So for me, time-wise, it's afternoon. It's very early on the West Coast side, so I'm not sure if Sultan or Sadia have joined, but if they do, that's great. Otherwise, I can introduce, so both of them are from the engineering side. They both work in the development of the product, and yeah, if they join later, they will be able to hopefully help in the Q&A sessions. So last time we had a session 1. It was part of the series Salesforce for Success, and the idea was to introduce Salesforce and also to show how companies could look into the different models of entering into the ecosystem, either as a partner or a consulting partner, an implementation partner, or a product developer or an integrator. So there were different options. So today's session is, so let me first recap very quickly, because I understand there are some participants who are new to this session or this series. So I'm just going to quickly introduce what is Salesforce and what is a CRM. So Salesforce is a customer relationship management software. And what it does is it brings companies and customers together. And the idea is that you have a holistic view. So in the past, companies used to have different products or channels for marketing, for sales, for commerce or website, for support or service. And the idea is to have all the data sitting in one central system, which is the CRM system, so that each of these talk to each other. And the benefit of that is when all of these modules talk to each other, you have a better connected view of the customer. And that is what Salesforce does, even though the name have the word sales, but actually it's a full CRM platform. I'll see if I can play this short video. Jamil or Fatma, anyone, do let me know if it doesn't play on your site, and I'll then stop that.
What is CRM? Good question. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's technology that helps you keep track of everything about your customers and your potential customers so you can build great relationships with them. CRM used to be all about sales, but not anymore. CRM is for every department, sales, but also marketing, service, commerce, and IT too. A great CRM helps you do amazing things. It centralizes all your important customer information and company data, and so your teams have the right information to deliver the easy, connected experiences customers expect. Take Carol here. Carol owns a network of scooter dealerships. She has a lot of customers. We just met one, Salman. Yesterday, Celeste configured the scooter of her dreams 43 times. And because Carol has CRM, her marketing team knew it, which is why Celeste just received an automated email that got her off her couch and into a dealership to take a test drive. When Celeste arrives, the scooter is already waiting for her, along with some accessories the sales team knows Celeste is gonna love. Next thing you know, Celeste is buying herself a scooter, a snazzy helmet, and some really nice accessories. But it's not just sales and marketing who know Celeste. Thanks to Carol's CRM, every department knows her because every team has one shared view of Celeste and all her information. Before she's even made it back to her couch, service has already sent her tips to help her care for her scooter. Marketing uses built-in AI to predict what Celeste likes and suggest more great additions. Commerce uses the same insights to create an entire storefront. IT builds apps that connect her to an entire community of fellow scooter lovers. Friendship and love follow. Real love, that is. Along the way, Carol's CRM just keeps getting smarter and more helpful, serving up actionable analytics for everyone at Carol's dealership, which makes Carol's employees happier and helps them surprise and delight Celeste again and again. The right CRM helps businesses focus on customers and unites everyone with one shared goal. Make Celeste, or whoever your customer is, happy.
So just quickly checking, did that video play okay on your side?
I played all right on our side, but if you want, we can also share the direct link to this video in the chat for the rest of the participants.
Sure, I'll do that later. So what you could see there was how Celeste, as a customer, when she started interacting with the commerce websites, at the back end, the company knew what she was looking for, and they could then target, using marketing, the right kind of campaign, the kind of email that got her coming into a dealership and test driving a scooter. And that was exactly the scooter she was trying to design. So as you walk in, you get a test drive, you have the same kind of a scooter waiting for you. She was over the moon. She bought the product. When she bought the product, there were servicing intervals. So immediately she starts getting messages saying your scooter is due for a service, or you could do these upgrades, or you could then look at maybe selling more things like the helmet or other kind of byproducts. So the beauty is because everything is central in one system, it's easier for the system to predict and suggest what the next best action should be for the business. And that is what Salesforce brings to the table. So moving on, customer 360, that's what we call a 360-degree view of the customer. That's what the product suite we have. So you can see over the years, 1999 is when we started, 2022. So this slide is from last year. So you can see we have now all of these tools, part of the customer 360 platform. Okay. Again, the story, I'm not going to go into it, but 1999, it was formed. Then it went public, as in the on the stock market. That's pretty much when I joined Salesforce in the ecosystem and started implementing. And then even Vaccine Cloud was launched part of the pandemic, COVID. There were countries that were tracking the rollout and the deliveries and the tracking of who got the injections and sending them alerts. All of that was also built on Salesforce. So one such example is Ireland. Ireland Health Services used Salesforce Vaccine Cloud to roll out the COVID vaccines. So it's not just sales and marketing. Salesforce can do a lot more. Moving on to the 360 view. So this is kind of what we talked about last time. I'm just showing you again. So from commerce to marketing to sales, support, then we have the success. We have partners logging into the same solution. We have industries, which are vertical specific solutions. We have net zero cloud. Formula One recently started using the net zero cloud. That's a Formula One car racing. MuleSoft, that's for the integration. Platform is our core platform where everything is built on. We acquired Slack 1 or 2 years ago. So now Slack is also part of the ecosystem. And we have that kind of inbuilt into different processes. Other than that, we have Genie, which is kind of like you can relate it to an AI. Artificial intelligence, there's data cloud, there is CDP. So there are lots of tools that come together to make Salesforce a customer 360 platform. So moving on to today's session, how to be a trailblazer, how to become part of this success, how to become part of Salesforce. So the digital crisis. So let's first look at this. The digital crisis, we all know these days, the speed at which the technology is evolving. Let's look at artificial intelligence. Every day, you're probably on Facebook or on different social medias getting alerts on how artificial intelligence or there is this site, you can do this, or you don't have to create videos, or you don't have to, like recently, I was trying to train a software to my voice. So if I just type in something, it'll say it in my voice. So there are lots and lots of artificial intelligence products out there, ChatGPT, Google Bard, even Google Email is launching the email solution where you just say, what's the context of your email, and it'll write the email. But behind that are people like you and me, IT developers, IT technicians, IT professionals. And that gap is becoming wider because of the way the speed the technology is increasing. And that's exactly the reason why you guys are here as well today, which is to understand about Salesforce and see how you can reskill or upskill into this domain. And currently, that's the kind of numbers where people are trying to reskill and learn new technology. And that is because the sudden increase in demand, especially post-COVID, when the IT got a big boom or big push because everyone started working from home, there were lots of things that were required, from infrastructure to bandwidth of internet to how people started relying more on e-commerce, e-technology. Salesforce economy, this slide was presented last time. So we presented how from one of the studies from IDC, We are predicting that 9.3 million jobs will be created. The overall pot of the site revenue is $1.6 trillion. And we'll talk about the numbers on this side later. So Salesforce is also not immune from this. Salesforce is also not immune from all of the this economy, scale of economies, and how people are getting affected, or how the businesses are getting affected with the gap in the skills. And who is in kind of fueling this economy? Who is fueling the Salesforce 1.6 trillion, or where is that 9.3 million jobs going to come from? Why all of a sudden such a big gap? Because of the Trailblazers. And they are the ones who are fueling the Salesforce economy. And we'll talk about that in a second. So I keep using the word Trailblazer. I'm not wearing my hoodie, the Trailblazer hoodie today. But what is the Trailblazer? So a Trailblazer is anyone who is either a pioneer, an innovator, a lifelong learner, a mover, or a shaker. So it's not about Trailblazers are just Salesforce developers or Salesforce administrators or Salesforce technicians. No. Anyone who is leading the path for others to follow, anyone who is building a better world for others, in Salesforce, we call them Trailblazers. They are companies trying to come up with new product. The owner, let's say I'm going to call that CEO a Trailblazer. The employee who is building that product is a Trailblazer. I'm here presenting Salesforce. I'm here presenting the technology to you. I'm a Trailblazer. And the idea is we want you all to become Trailblazers. So how do you become a Trailblazer? Well, first of all, you learn the in-demand skills. And I talked about, we'll see that number. So 19 million Trailblazers exist in the world today. And the first way to become is obviously you look at the gap, you look at the in-demand skills, and you then learn. And there are different free learning tools out there like Trailhead and Salesforce Plus. Salesforce Plus is like our video platform, and Trailhead is the LMS or learning management system, or like an online e-learning platform. The second way to become a Trailblazer is you connect to a community. You connect to like-minded community of Trailblazers. And then finally, you create growth and opportunity, both from a company perspective, where you then come up with, okay, let's say if I'm an IT company and I'm not working in the Salesforce space, I could think of, okay, maybe now is the time I can look into getting a Salesforce contract. Maybe I can reach out to my customers and see if anyone uses Salesforce, where I could either support their network or even build new functionality for them. If I'm such a company in Pakistan, I would need resources. I would need new employees, or I would have to upskill my existing resources, i.e., I need Trailblazers. And that's how you're growing the ecosystem. Likewise, you as an employee, or you as an individual, be it a student, be it an unemployed person, or be it a non-IT person. And I personally know a lot of non-IT people who got into Salesforce and they are successfully employed now. So it is a platform where you do not really need an IT degree, or you need, because there are different career paths, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you don't need to have core development skills. As long as you have the passion to learn, there is always something in Salesforce for you. Let's look at the different career paths. So it's a mix here. So you have a marketeer career, where if you want to be a marketing person, how can you use Salesforce? So this is more from using Salesforce. There is a marketing cloud. So you could either be on both ends of the stake. So either you could be the end user who wants to use Salesforce for better marketing, or you want to build the marketing cloud functionality in a company as a consultant, and you want to help bring marketing cloud's features for that customer. You could be a Salesforce architect. We have different tracks for architects. We have solution architects. We have technical architects. We have application architects, system architects, consultants. So these are the kind of people who are more face-to-face with the customer, capturing the requirements, and then even implementing or suggesting the change. You have the service career, which is more on the support side, the sales career, which is more on the selling side, Salesforce developer, who is, so we have two tracks, or a developer and a senior developer. So where you are writing the code or writing the configuration. You have the admin, who day-to-day manages the platform, but also can do lots of configuration. You have the designer, who is either the strategy or the UX designer. You have the BA, the business analyst, and we also have the cybersecurity, because there are lots of components in Salesforce that are geared towards security, data anonymization, data privacy, and making sure the data meets the compliance requirements of the country or the region where it is hosted. So there are different career paths, and for each career path, there is a set course or a training or a knowledge that you have to acquire, and we'll talk about that in coming slides. So I talked about Trailhead, and I talked about how that is a learning tool, LMS. So let's look at what you could do with Trailhead. So you could learn, you could earn, and you can connect. So let's start with the learn module. What and how can you learn? So Trailhead is, we talked about that earlier. You can learn the in-demand skills. You can then earn resume-worthy credentials. And then you could also connect to a global community, all via Trailhead. And this learning tool, it spans the entire Salesforce ecosystem. It's not just the technology. It will give you people skills. It is about people. It'll give you some soft skills around like public speaking, storytelling, communication, even UX designing. If you are a business analyst, you may be relating it to how can I write user stories? How can I do Agile or Scrum? It talks about the core platform, Salesforce. So to learn about Sales Cloud, what is Service Cloud, what is Marketing Cloud. And it also talks about technologies, and not just technology from Salesforce perspective, but also generic concepts of artificial intelligence. What is data transformation? So the Trailhead kind of gives you a full blended view of different skills that you need to be successful in the Salesforce ecosystem. And even if you are not interested in learning about Salesforce, there are enough courses out there that you could do just to even help you upskill in whatever you do today in life, be it IT or even non-IT. Now, what's the Trailhead secret sauce? Is what makes us unique, what makes this platform different from other platforms, is it gives you a hands-on approach where you can prove your skills. And you learn by doing things. So it's not just you go watch a video, watch a webinar, attend a seminar, attend a boot camp, and that's it, you're done. You now know the product. No, it is a very hands-on learning product. You can go there to the Trailhead. Salesforce gives you a free developer environment. That environment pretty much gives you everything that a production environment has, that end customers buy. Salesforce works on subscription model, for those who don't know. By subscription model, we mean you pay per license. So it's like how many seats or how many licenses you need. And we have different type of platform levels. We have entry level, like more basic, to the most advanced, where you have least number of restrictions. For example, if we look at number of records, data, number of customizations, number of automations, number of data tables, number of fields, those kind of technical things, there are different levels of Salesforce product, and different levels give you different limits, you can say, where you can implement the solution according to your needs. And if, let's say there's a professional edition, or there is an unlimited edition. In the unlimited edition, each license is one login, one account, one user account. And customers buy number of licenses, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 10,000. And each license comes with a cost. So what Salesforce gives you in Trailhead is the same environment as a developer with 1 or 2 licenses that you can go and try out your product, try out your solution, or even learn what you want to do. And then throughout the learning, there are hands-on challenges. So if you watch or read a module, towards the end, it would say, now go into your playground, go into the free account we have given you and do this. And when you do that, you have to then come back to the training module and say, I've done the work. And there is, in the background, there's automation that will go into your connected org, connected environment, and actually check that, have you done it? And if you have done it, you'll get points. If you haven't done it, it'll tell you, sorry, you haven't done it correctly. You need to redo it. So there's an auto checker and a teacher, kind of a marker sitting in the background, checking your homework and telling you if you have done your work or not. And that's all for free, available even now without any payment. So if I go to trailhead.salesforce.com, can you guys see, sorry, I'm not sure if anyone can see my second screen. Can you guys see my second screen? Fatma, anyone can come on mute, let me know. Yep, okay, thank you. So I see in the chat, people are saying yes. So this is Trailhead. I've already logged in. If you don't log in, then obviously you will get the registration screen. You can register with your email and it'll give you a login. And that is the learning platform you get. And in the learning platform, it's a very gamified kind of an environment where you can see the points, and different points earns you different badges. The concept Trailhead is built on Scout or scouting, or like when you are going on a trek or hiking, there are different badges that Scout, and you have to achieve something to earn a badge. And then there are different trails. There are hard trails, there are easy trails, there are intermediate trails, and all of that is inbuilt into Trailhead. So let's come back and we'll have a look at this more in the further future slides. We also have Trailhead Go, which is both available on iOS and Android. That is kind of, you can take Trailhead in your pocket on your mobile. If you're, again, I can relate to, for example, if I'm in the UK and I'm traveling to work, it's a 1-hour journey. And if I'm on the train or the tube, I can easily take out this app and I can start learning on the go. So, and this is geared towards bite-sized content. So you can skill up even on the move. By the way, I'm not advocating if you're driving or riding a motorbike and then you are trying to do Trailhead in the background. So please don't do that. But you can take Trailhead with you wherever you are. You're not bound to a computer. You're not bound to a desktop. And I talked about the different ranks. So from the gamification, we have different tracks. Up until recently, external people outside Salesforce were not having access to the all-stars and the 5-stars. But if I say I'm a ranger, so let's go back to my profile. So you can see here, it says currently, I don't know, you can see it or not. You see, I'm a ranger. And it says, if you earn these many more badges and these many more points, you can then become a double-star ranger. And if I go back here, this is a double-star ranger. So the more you learn, the more badges you earn. And if I ask someone, let's say one of you, and I say, okay, are you using Salesforce? Yeah, okay. Are you on Trailhead? Yes. Where are you? And if he says or she says, I'm an adventurer, straight away I know, okay, the person would have done about 25 to 30 different courses, and they would have had these many number of points. So this tells me that it's not just they have attended a course or they know Salesforce from their job, but this tells me how advanced they are in their career, as in how much hands-on learning have they got. So this is more valuable than just collecting certificates or attending sessions, because this actually proves that you have got to this point after watching X number of modules, watching X number of videos, and also doing X number of hands-on assignments that the Trailhead gives you. So now let's look at earn, even though I've been talking about that all the time. So while you're learning, you're earning, and it's not earning dollars or rupees at this point. It's earning badges. It's earning recognitions. So let's go back into Salesforce. Trailhead. And you can see here, we talked about the learn. Now we are going to talk about the earn, the credentials. You can either earn certifications, you can earn super badges. So let's park certifications for a second. Let's look at super badges and supersets. You can earn these badges, and they are not just a badge, they are super badge. What's the difference between the two? A super badge is a lot more challenging, but the super badge is a bigger module. So let's look into this. A super badge, if I click into it, it shows me super badge and it shows me supersets. So superset, for example, is a set of badges, set of super badges that I need to become an admin. It already categorizes it by saying this superset is for someone who aspires to become an administrator. It is helpful if you do this pre-work, and eventually this entire module is related to getting administrator certification. So if you want to get certified as an administrator, it'll be good to do this super badge or this superset, which is made up of 4 super badges. Okay, and super badges are just individual modules, and supersets are combination of super badges. So Salesforce have already kind of put these courses together for you in the learning module that you can on your own go and start learning even today. And after you've done these super badges, they are good enough to be recognized in the industry to say, oh, I've got a admin superset badge, or I've got a financial superset badge. That tells me what particular module, and again, it is not a small module. So if I go into one of the supersets, for example, oh, sorry, I was actually on the right screen. So if I go into the super badge, you'll see here, this particular badge is a 16-hour long course. And that 16 hours is by the time 16 hours. So you actually have to spend 16 hours if you're not skimming through the content, if you're actually reading it. They have timed it with the hands-on exercises that you will end up spending 16 hours to get the super badge. So if you have the super badge, I know that you have done the hands-on exercises and you haven't just watched a video or read a slide. You actually have hands-on practiced what they taught you. So even though super badges are good for recognition, there is also the certification. And the certification works by, again, if you go to the credentials, you have certifications. And you can earn different certifications based upon what track or what role you want to go into. So if I say I want to become a Salesforce developer, for example, it shows me the courses that are relevant. And again, I don't have to do all of them. I can do one of them or 2 of them, and I can be on the path. But what they are saying is, if you want to be a fully qualified developer, the best would be that you do all of these. But again, once you go into the course, you'd understand that not everything is applicable. Because if I say I'm an IT resource, it doesn't have to be that I know how to be a database administrator. If I want to be a front-end developer versus a business administrator versus a business analyst versus a full stack developer, they are different levels. So similarly, Salesforce gives you the developer 1 certificate. If you want to go on to the second level, developer 2, which is advanced certificate, and some of them have prerequisites, like you cannot sit a particular exam unless you have sat another one. I'll show you one example. Let's look at the Salesforce architect. If I want to become a Salesforce architect here, you can see I need to first, to be a fully technical architect, I need to have these 2 levels. And in order to have these 2 levels, I need to have all of these levels. So there is prerequisites in some scenarios that you have to have a certain exam passed before you can sit the other one. So certifications are the way to get globally recognized in the industry. So if you go anywhere, you can then say, I am XYZ certified, and they can then know that, okay, if this person has passed these exams, or if this person has X number of badges, or this person is at this level in the Trailhead, then it means this person knows such and such information about the platform. And yes, certifications, they build expertise, and they also impact where you can see if you have a certified resource versus an uncertified resource. Yes, it will be more influential, you'll be more productive, and you'll be more impactful. There's also the trailblazer.me profile. So this is getting onto the LinkedIn kind of a model, where if I go back into the platform, up here, I've got my profile. You can see how many badges I've got. Profiles can be public, profiles can be private. And if you go into the profile, you can then also see there's a link. I can put this link on my LinkedIn profile. You can see the number of exams or certificates I have. You can see the different skills. You can see the different badges I've earned. And they've also started putting this Add Harmony button, where if I want to look for resources, I can look for who's available. And again, this level of badge and your certifications will help the person hiring to see what level of resource they are looking at in terms of the profile. Okay. So to go back, you have a unified profile where it brings all your earnings or your recognitions together. You can have the ranger ranks, you can climb up all the way up to all-star ranger, and you also have the Harmony button, which you can connect with other people or fellow trailblazers who are looking for work, or other employees who are looking for work. And then finally, the connect. Let's talk about the connect. So we talked about the learn, the earn, and the connect. The third way of helping other trailblazers or finding other like-minded people in your local community is the Trailblazer Community. And what it does is, first of all, it brings people of similar skills together. You connect with other Trailblazers, and also you can give back by either sharing your knowledge and by building a network and giving guidance. Now, where does that come into this picture? Let's see. You learn, you earn, the community. In the community, we also have, similar to other software out there, where there's a community, people ask questions and you give answers. So you can certainly do that. You can help others by replying to their open questions. You can also join other groups. And there are different types of groups. There are developer groups. There are, like, let's say, trainers, trainees, different locality-based, regional-based, and you have different group meetings or events that happen in and around you. So let's look at how you can, for example, there's a developer community. You can go to this URL. You can look for all other developers part of this community, and you can ask questions. Have data fam or data family, which is from the Tableau. Those who know Tableau as an analytic tool, there's a community there. We have MuleSoft community. Again, MuleSoft is now a Salesforce product. We acquired the company a while ago. So we have MuleSoft related community. Again, you can go there and you can join, and you can either ask questions or you can learn. And even there, for those who want to give back to the community, MuleSoft Mentor, anyone who wants to, they can apply here and they can be a mentor for other learners out there. And yes, we do have Salesforce communities in Pakistan. I was looking up those numbers today. So we had about 7 or 8 communities, but some of them have been archived because they haven't been using regularly. So we have these 4 active community groups currently in Pakistan. Along with that, there are other local events that take place. Pakistan Dreaming is one of them, which is, I've given the URL here. It is coming up on the 24th of November in Islamabad. This time it is hybrid, so it's going to be online as well as in person. And you can see here where it's happening. And it's a one-day conference, and they have 60 plus speakers, 820 plus audience. They are going to give out some vouchers in terms of learning, if someone, maybe some certifications, and there are 42 plus countries getting together, as in participants coming from different places and including speakers to this event. So this has happened in the past in 2021 and 22, and both of them have been quite successful. This time it's the biggest audience compared to the previous 2. So there is park dreaming. Recently there was a world tour in Dubai. There is one event coming up in London, the world tour. The biggest one we have around the world is in San Francisco, which is what we call Dreamforce. Last time someone asked the question, is that happening? Yes, it is happening in, I think it is September. I recently saw yesterday somewhere a post, it was somewhere happening in September. Registration is going to open very soon for that. So we do have different, and if you want to, even if you are not in Pakistan, what you can do is go to the community, click on the groups, and here you'll find different groups. You can find different regions. And if, for example, I look for Pakistan, it shows me there are these different groups. And if I go into one of them, let's say admin group Lahore, I can click into it and I can see the different people managing it. I can see all the other members, from which companies they are, and then any events or anything, you can then connect here and they can talk to you about or give you some information about what Salesforce is and other admins who can help you on this journey. Different community groups, they have different sessions. Recently, there was one about very similar one that I'm giving in Lahore, that was Women in Tech, led by Kualitatem and Maham. Yes, these 2 women were leading this event, and that was a very similar one, how to become a Salesforce Trailblazer. So there are different events. Have a look around, go online, and you should be able to find or connect to other community members and maybe talk to them about their journey, or you somehow in getting into this technology. So as I said, anyone can succeed. I personally know lots of people. Recently, I have been privileged to be part of a similar initiative in Arabia. We call it Arabia Force Academy. It's an academy formed from the Middle Eastern countries where we are trying to upskill resources in that region. And I personally know there are people there who are non-IT. Even one of the students is a teacher. There was one from pharmaceutical. There was one from just a normal sales manager. And they all have upskilled and are now certified Salesforce administrators. And now they are looking for career. So they're looking to switch their careers towards Salesforce. So yes, it can happen. You don't have to be an IT resource. You just need to have the passion and the dedication to get into this. And yes, there will be opportunities out there to fulfill your career goals. So what are the next steps from here onwards? So the idea was that we had a survey sent out, part of the session 1. Now we want to do a similar feedback of session 2. Once we have the feedback, the next steps, the main reason for me running this session today is to capture or gather or raise awareness and interest into Salesforce. what we would be interested in knowing from now or from this point onwards is how many of you are, one, already in this technology? How many of you are in IT, but not in this technology, but want to get into this technology? And third, how many of you are non-IT background, but still you want to bring a change in your life and your career, and you want to go into this technology? And then from there, we would like to then assess the amount of interest the industry is bringing. And then we are trying to see, okay, we need to then arrange some training sessions. We want to get people on the admin track. Either it'll be a boot camp, 5 days long, or it could be a virtual. Again, it's not decided, but that will depend upon the number of interest we get from these sessions to see what kind of sessions we have to then put forward, what kind of volumes or attendees are interested in attending, and then based upon their prior knowledge of the technology or in general the IT, we can then have different kind of tracks set up for them. The mode is going to be lectures, but I strongly believe in hands-on, so it has to be assignments. Just the lectures, just delivering a one-way session from 9 to 5 does not do the job. You have to have assignments, hands-on exercises to see if the attendees are following or not. And the main target of that track is to get you certified to be a Salesforce admin. From there are different other tracks. There are app builder tracks, there are developer tracks, there are architect tracks, and it just keeps going on. But the idea is to start with the fundamentals, get people on the first level, because admin is the most basic. You need to have, I'm not talking about the certificate, I'm talking about the track. You need to know how a Salesforce admin does his or her job to be successful from there on to other tracks. It's not mandatory. If, for example, you just want to do sales or you want to do marketing, yeah, admin may not be necessary, but I would suggest everyone to start looking at the admin track and then build onwards. Don't, from this session, go on and learn on their own. Yes, you could certainly do that. As I showed you, log in into trailhead.salesforce.com, set up your account. Once you have set up your account, let's go back to the main page. And then from the credentials, you could always look at a superset. And from the superset, you can look at the admin track. And you can always look at this and start this. For others, if you look on the trails, there's another option. You go to trail mixes. There are different mix put together, or you can look at the trails. In general, trails are individual courses. Trail mixes are a collection of courses. So you can see here the role. Okay, I want to be an admin and I'm a beginner. Show me what I should learn. And here it'll show you the different modules you want to learn. If I'm a business user and I just want to know about what is Sales Cloud, I can just select these two and I can maybe even drop the beginner level, and then it'll show me what are the different modules. Oh, okay, discover Sales Cloud. I can go into this and I can learn the basics, and it'll show me everything about what is a Sales Cloud. So you can learn these on your own. You don't need to wait for a session, but all I'm saying is we are looking to have more structured training available so that you don't have to struggle or suffer on your own. You could be put together in a group, but that depends upon the interest we gather from these sessions, and then we can plan forward. When I say virtual, 12 to 16 weeks, this has been successfully implemented. Sorry, I'll come to this slide in a second. It has been successfully implemented in another region, the Arabia Force Academy I talked about, which I'm part of. And what we did there was virtually last year, we had a 16-day program where we first introduced people to the academy. We took a small batch of 20 people. Then we showed them the big picture of what Salesforce is on day one. On to day 3. Yes, it was day 2 and day 3 because actually this was in between the two. We actually changed this later to 1 to 2 days, depending upon the length of how long the session works. Because in the intro, it took us a while to introduce not just the trainers, but also understand the participants introducing themselves. The ecosystem and career path, some of it I've already spoken about. Then we move on to the business processes, how Salesforce is structured, what are the apps, what are the objects, how it's used on a day-to-day basis, how to manage users, looking at data access and security, and then customizing Salesforce, automation, data management, analytics, which is reports and dashboards. And by the 16th session or 16th day, it was a wrap. And then for those who want to learn from there onwards, how to extend Salesforce or where to go next. And then finally, exam preparations and any questions and reviews, which took us into the final session, after which the candidates tried to or attempted sitting exams, and they did get successful. If you want to go up on LinkedIn or just Google Arabia Force Academy, you will see their examples of real life people from different backgrounds, and they have introduced themselves, and you would have seen on that site what are the different certifications and accomplishments those guys have achieved. So it is not just a track record, and you guys are no different. And that's why I want to bring this technology to Pakistan, to the IT industry, and see if we can also do the same here in Pakistan. I've got other like-minded people with me, both in Salesforce and outside Salesforce, in the ecosystem, in Pakistan and abroad, who are willing to help you guys be successful on this journey. So finally, I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. We are just coming up to an hour, so hopefully we'll have 15 to 30 minutes. I'm okay to go up to 30 minutes, and we can have a wrap after that.
Thank you, Salman. Thank you for that session. And I'm sure that our participants also appreciate it. I have a few questions that arrived in chat. May I start sharing them with you in the order that they arrived?
Yep.
All right. So the first question that we have is from Shahzeb Raza. He's a mechanical engineer and he's been working on site for 2 years. His question is that he wants to know if it's possible to transition into a full-time career, even if you don't have an IT background. Specifically, what are the chances for someone like him to crack it if they choose Salesforce? What would be the most suitable career path for him? And is it wise to go for Salesforce when he's currently in a web development path? And is there a chance for his skills in web development to be transferable to Salesforce?
Yep. Okay, so let's break it down into 3 parts. The first part, you said you're an engineer. Okay, so which means you have gone through structured training, you're a graduate, and you have got some or a lot of transferable skills to be ported into any technology. That's why you're going into web development. Salesforce can do web development. Salesforce can do a lot more. I wish I had the time to even show you a small demo, or even on the fly with you just build something, and you'd be amazed, or you'd be totally blown away by the power of Salesforce.
Okay.
How shall I put it? The second part. Yes, can you? Well, I kind of answered it. Can you transfer? Yes, you can transfer your skills. Yes, you can make it a full-time career. The only thing I cannot promise sitting here in the UK is, yes, I have been part of the Pakistan IT ecosystem at one point, but it's been more than 20 years that I've been living abroad now. So the dynamics of the market, I cannot help you there. But what we can certainly do is bring the 2 sides together, bring the employees and the employers together, see if there's an interest from the employers to say, yep, I'm happy to go into this industry, fetch more work if I can have resources. And at the same time, we can crack this chicken and egg situation and upskill the resources while the jobs land. The last thing, can anyone learn Salesforce? Trust me, my wife, I know this is on recording. I'd love if she hears this. She's a non-IT, totally non-IT housewife, okay? So she has never touched Salesforce. She does have a master's degree, but what I keep convincing her is, please go into Salesforce. And she's hesitant, like, no, but I don't know IT. And I keep telling her, you don't need to know IT. You need to have some analytical skills. You need to have some general understanding, and that's it. If I'm convincing her to go into, you being an engineer is way, way ahead of the game. So trust me, anyone can go into Salesforce.
Thank you. And for the next question, we have from Saima Gul. She's currently a technical lead and she's interested in becoming a Salesforce developer. She wants to know whether she can get benefits from Salesforce as a solutions architect and how can she begin her learning journey.
Okay. So there is recently there was, I'll see if I wish part of this session, maybe Fatma, we can maybe set up a Slack channel or some kind of a community group where people can interact post this session and continue, or maybe I can feedback. But to be a developer, that's one thing. Tech lead, another thing. Architect. Now, when we say the architect, there are different tracks of being an architect. For example, a solutions architect is less hands-on from a development perspective, but more an advisor on the solution side versus a technical architect. And again, these are Salesforce terms, or even the industry terms. A technical architect is more hands-on on the developer side and less customer facing. So if you are a hardcore developer and you want to go, the next step up naturally for you would be a technical architect. It doesn't have to be a certified technical architect, but you can, the next step in your journey would be developer, senior developer, technical architect. Yes, you can branch into solution architecture if you want to, but I would advise you to look into being a technical architect. And there is a track for the developers, just as I was just showing you earlier on my screen. When we looked at the super badges, you saw one of the super badge here was Advanced Apex Specialist. Apex is the language using which Salesforce developers write code. There's an Apex Specialist, there is Advanced Apex Specialist. These two kind of programs are geared towards developers tracks. And again, there are different tracks. If you go back to the trail mixes or the trails and you say, I want to be a developer, let's say I want to be an advanced, and here on this side, you select a developer, it will show you, so you can start from basic and you can go up and you can learn about how to be an advanced developer, how to develop secure web apps, how to develop with mobile SDK. So all the tracks are there. But in future, if we did get to that point, if we did get successful enough to launch this, then yes, maybe we will be looking at introducing the developer track training course.
All right. Our next question is from Usman Khan, and he wants to know if it's possible to learn about Marketing Cloud without purchasing a license for it.
Interesting. I will have to park this one. The reason being, if you go into Salesforce, and I'll show you this here. If you are in your Trailhead, one of the added advantage I told you is it gives you free licenses or free platform to try. So here is the hands-on org. And if you click on the hands-on org, you can create a playground. And this playground is about how you can set up an environment and you can try out the technology. What I need to check is, out of the box, when you create a playground, does it give you the Marketing Cloud functionality or not? Because not everything is available part of the playground. It does give you pretty much, well, quite a lot, but I need to check if there are additional add-ons. But other than this, I do know, please see if you can reach out to me either on LinkedIn or via some of the media. I'll put my email out there on the chat. But there is a way to spin an org where you can play with Marketing Cloud. So reach out to me and I'll can.
All right. And Kashif Abid would like to know, does Salesforce have a preferred partners system?
Salesforce have a preferred partner system. Well, Salesforce does have a partner ecosystem. So this was something that came up last time. So let me see if I can bring that slide up. This question came up last time and I didn't manage to, or we didn't manage to clarify it. But there is if you go onto their partner network, so this is the 4 different ways you can be a partner. You can either sell the solution, you could either be a managed service provider, or you could be in consulting, or you could go into their app exchange and build products. And for FY24, there is a partner program. And if you look up just by looking Salesforce partner program, you will find the Salesforce partner program for partners. And in this, so it's partners.salesforce.com. If you go there, you will find a partner. Now, in terms of the preferred partner, we do have levels. We have platinum, we have silver, we have different level of partnership. And different level of partnership comes from different services that you provide and how many resources you have and the level of certifications they have and things like that. And you have to maintain it. And I believe there's also some kind of a fee to be a partner. So when a project comes along, there are different criteria. And I guess this is not really something I can clarify or give a clear answer, because I'm not, to be honest, fully aware of it, because this is more on the sales side. But I do know that sometimes, depending upon the project, depending upon the complexity, we can't just have a very big project or a very key customer handed out to a very small partner. So there are criteria of selection through which you go, and then a partner gets selected. And I believe, and again, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the customer also has a choice of selecting the partner.
And if Fan Imtiaz would like to know if it's possible for us to make a future as a non-tech person in data analysis from Salesforce.
Yes, so recently we launched the Data Cloud. So if you just, again, Google Salesforce Data Cloud, you have the Data Cloud. And this is, there are different roles in there. So you have the data analysts, you have data scientists, you have the technical people who implement this. Salesforce acquired Tableau a few years ago. So Tableau is now part of the product. Tableau or CRM, Tableau is still standalone, but we also have Tableau CRM built in. So if you are someone who loves working with data, data lakes, data warehouses, or if, let's say, you're just a data scientist, yes, certainly there is a space in this Salesforce ecosystem for you. Because there are 2 types of users in Salesforce. There is the one who is building the platform, and there's the one who's consuming the platform. Consumer is not someone just logs in and looks at the data. They need to know. It's like, for example, if Microsoft builds Microsoft Word and you are the user, you need to know how to use Word. So you can't just say, because I have a computer or I've got it installed. No, you still need to know how to use Outlook, how to use Word, how to use Excel. Similarly, if you are not a technical person, but you are a data scientist or you aspire to be one, then yes, you can be always on the other side of the spectrum and you can be the user. You could be that person working for the company, building those data analytical graphs and structures and presenting data to the business in the way they would like to see or understand better.
All right. And Munir Hussain is the CEO of Technology Solutions. His question is, how can any company become an implementation or integration partner of Salesforce?
Okay, again, I think I may not be able to fully answer that. But the way I said earlier was, so this is more a question for the sales teams or the account management teams. But we do have a dedicated partner management site. So if you go to partners, as I said, partners.salesforce.com, sorry, it's partners.salesforce.com. There is a dedicated channel via which you can become a partner. So here, become a Salesforce partner. If you click that, it'll then take you through a journey. There is an application process. There is a fee. There is a certain level of requirement that you have to, or prerequisite you have to fulfill, and then you can become a partner. But reach out to partner community support, and they should be able to help you. Otherwise, this site should have enough information out there on how to become. So here, you submit an application, you complete the due diligence, you answer the operations review, you go through the review process, there's a legal review, and then you are activated as a partner. So there is a procedure in how you can join the Salesforce partnership.
Ahmed Muzammil has a question for us next. His question is, there aren't a lot of successful Salesforce practices in Pakistan. In your opinion, what are the causes for this, and what are the biggest roadblocks one should be ready to face in building 100+ people practice?
Okay, so a couple of things here. First, when I used to work in Pakistan, 100+ was a very big number. Back then, systems, Techlogics, these were the main, NetSol, they were the key players. And going into like more than 200, 300 was like, oh, that's a super large company. And again, I'm talking more than 23 years ago now, 2002, 2001, around that time. So that was a very, very big number. These days, when I look back and I speak to my counterparts in Pakistan, to them, like 50, 60, 100 is a small number. That's a normal software house now. Big ones are like more than 500+, 1,000+. So to answer your question, the first session was actually geared towards that. It was geared towards, and that's why we had Farooq, who was more on the sales director side, who was trying to kind of explain how you can become part of this ecosystem. I know this is a chicken and egg situation, and I could have actually had this session done outside Pasha, just went out, put these advertisements out for people who are interested in getting trained, but then I would have gone nowhere. Why? Because people would back, well, train me, I'm certified, I don't have a job. What do I do? So that's why we partnered up with Pasha. We approached the companies, and we are now trying to explain it to the companies that there is a big ecosystem out there you may not be aware of. So I think it is lack of awareness, the very first thing. The fear of unknown. Well, I don't know Salesforce. How can I go and pitch out Salesforce to my customers when I don't even have the knowledge? Or the third thing, lack of resources. How many of you, I heard that this session was about like 300 registrants. How many of you knew Salesforce before you came to the session? When I talk to people about Salesforce, they're totally ignorant. Like, what's that? If you Google Salesforce, they are next to Oracle's and Microsoft. Yet, people in our industry, people in IT industry in Pakistan, they haven't heard of Salesforce. So I think it's a lack of awareness, and that's what we are trying to bring here to the table. Candidates, resources, there is something out there. There's something big out there, learn. At the same time, we are trying to entice the business, the companies, to go into this domain and try to get more work. And that's when we'll have to somehow balance the demand and the supply between resources and the opportunities. So the reason, the main cause, I guess, is awareness. People don't know there's Salesforce out there. Hope I answered that.
I think Muzammil can comment if you did, but meanwhile, I'll move on to the next question, which is from Sikandar Janjua. And he says that his company is a managed service provider specializing in IT infrastructure, ITSM tools, as well as the ERP side. What would be their direction towards becoming a Salesforce managed service provider?
Okay, good one. So Salesforce managed service provider. So if we were looking at that slide earlier, this one. So there are two types of services you can provide. You could either just support an existing customer. When we say support, it could be from an admin perspective, looking at managing their platform, where you are just looking at user management and a bit of admin, or you are looking at a full-fledged development where you are enhancing, either be it a greenfield project or a brownfield project. So the best way, and this is what I said on the previous session, those IT companies in Pakistan operating for maybe the local or the foreign market, reach out to them. 97% of the Fortune 100 companies are using Salesforce. If you look up online, you will see pretty much, I think, more than 50, 60% of the IT industry is now using Salesforce in some shape or form. So there is already connections that you have. You just have to explore them and see if you can go into those, tap into those connections and convince them to say, okay, while I'm managing your database, while I'm managing your ERP system, how about I manage your CRM system? But then the challenge will be there. If I'm the customer and you reach out to me and you say, I want to manage your Salesforce, the first thing I'll turn around and say, but can you? Do you have any resources? Now, if they may ask you, do you have any proven track record? The answer is no, because you're just venturing into this. But the answer could be kind of backed up by saying, well, we at least have certified resources. We have certified enough developers or these many number of admins. And most of all, we have gone through the hands-on module. So we can certainly go in and help you implement because we have hands-on knowledge from Trailhead. So yes, you can look into going that route, tap into your existing connections and see if there is something where you can transition into CRM that way.
Thank you. We've just received another question from Malik Ahmed Furqan. He has a background in electrical engineering and he was always very intimidated by coding. However, he's currently enrolled in a boot camp and he's learning MERN. So he wants to understand what are his chances of coming to this field and what would be the requirements that an employer would initially expect from him, or what skills would he need to initially get started in this field.
Okay. So I am still a developer. I was a developer. I'm still a developer at heart, even though I don't do any more development. I keep telling my other colleagues who are in the same IT domain, who are my batchmates, who are my colleagues, ex-colleagues, the days of a developer are numbered. With the rise of AI, trust me, there will be bots and computers writing code for you. And you can do that today. Go on ChatGPT, just type in, if you know how to, just like if you know how to use Google smartly by adding all the commands, if you go to ChatGPT and you articulate what you really need, I'm sure it'll find that code for you. So similarly, what Salesforce has done is they have started incorporating AI. Now, Salesforce started with very beginning, there was no customization. You could only customize some front end. There was no development. The only thing you could do was write JavaScript. Then they introduced the language Apex, which is, for those who know Java and GSP, the servlets, it's very much like, or you could say C++, C# and ASP.NET. So we had tags and you could write your, what we call Visualforce pages, which was very much like a GSP or an ASP page. From there, we introduced workflows. Then came process builders. Now you have what we call flow. A flow is, if I show you a sample, Salesforce flow example. If I maybe show you an image, this is what a flow looks like. Even with no IT background, as in no programming background, you could write the flow such as, if a record is created, then put a decision, check this, do this. So you're actually writing it in a business process flow. That's why we call it the flow. It's a business process flow where you are putting in the logic and system is doing most of it, including the UI. And if you need to, you can then enhance your solution by writing Apex, or as I said, the Java-like or C# or C++ like language, and you can plug in additional computing power into your logic. But now Salesforce is moving away from, well, I'm not saying it's moving away. What I meant to say is it's geared towards more click. Actually, we call it click, less code. So more click, less code. Do everything by click of a button rather than having to implement it in a programming language. So yes, those who are not seasoned developers, who don't know programming, yes, there is a big space. At least a Salesforce admin, you don't need any programming. So you can certainly go into the admin track and even do a lot more by being an advanced admin during using the flow to do things that you would otherwise have done in programming. Okay. So yeah, certainly you don't need programming.
Vakil Zaman would like to know what's there for SQA engineers if they want to learn from Salesforce and upgrade their skill set.
So sorry, you said SQL?
SQA, software quality assurance.
Oh, SQA. Okay, so in Salesforce, part of my team or in general, those who are beginners into this field, I always advise them to go the QA route. So Salesforce has, well, if you are a quality assurance person, you'd know that you write test scripts day in, day out. Now, a very interesting element of Salesforce is you cannot deploy anything unless if you have written some code that it meets a certain criteria. When I say certain criteria, there is a certain percentage of test script that you have to write, and the system has to pass that before you can deploy the code. So we have enforced it, the QA or the quality assurance is enforced into the platform automatically for the developers. So the developers have to write the test scripts. But from a QA perspective, like any other system, you can be a successful QA and do a front-end testing as well as write automation scripts. Selenium and other products now have plugins that connect into Salesforce, and you can do test automation part of that. There are robotics, are RPAs, there are other technologies out there which has Salesforce plugins, and you can in there write your scripts so that you can simulate the example of a user going there, creating an account, filling in the fields, pressing submit, all of that can be done. So yes, like any other product, Salesforce also requires a QA or a quality assurance or a tester to verify the build is successful.
Thank you. Our question from Adil Abid is more geared towards companies. He would like to know, considering the pace at which technology is evolving and how the dynamics are shifting in terms of market competitiveness, how can companies, get on the Salesforce train? And how specifically, how can they bypass certain methods to catch the Salesforce train effectively in the coming years?
Okay, so if I go back to the session one, in the session one, we projected, or not projected, we presented this slide. Let me see if I can pull it up, this one. So as a CRM, if you compare other CRMs in the market, and this isn't my own generated, this is source. There's the source there from IDC. If you look up the Magic Quadrant is a Gartner's research where they group companies into 4 boxes, being either emergent or more creative or things like that. Sorry, I can't remember all the 4 quadrants, but Salesforce always have been in the compared to other products. So one thing for sure, if you go into Salesforce, you are going towards a market leader. So if you're going towards a market leader, naturally, if I'm a company and I'm looking to implement CRM, I would look up online and I would say, okay, so which one should I implement? Adobe, no. Actually, these are way ahead. So let me choose Salesforce. There must be a reason they're way ahead. So in terms of the getting into the right technology, yes, you can certainly say if you choose Salesforce, you have chosen the right technology to enter into. Sorry, what's the second part? I didn't get the second part. Can you please repeat?
Perhaps Adil, you can clarify.
No, can you maybe repeat the question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying, apart from the individual aspect, certainly how would companies, with the pace the technology is evolving and the market competitiveness, we should be considering that factor. I mean, how can we bypass certain methods to catch the Salesforce train effectively in the coming years? Like in terms of strategy, what would be your strategy, or what would you comment on this?
So the first thing, if you look at Salesforce, their motto always have been no software. No software as in there is no software to install. Everything is in the cloud. They started going into the cloud well before anyone did. So more and more companies are moving towards the cloud. And if I say there is this gap of the resource, as well as the gap of the technology. Let me go back to that slide. So this one, if 9.3 million jobs are going to be created, be it an individual or either working on freelance platforms or looking at a company, these jobs need to be filled. So definitely, if you are providing a quality work, then yes, you will be chosen by someone somewhere. As I said, what I cannot answer is how can local companies in Pakistan sit and find work? My suggestion would be reach out to your existing connections, reach out to your existing contracts, existing partners, or existing the pipeline where you generate your work from, and see if there is any Salesforce opportunity. But as I said earlier, it's a chicken and egg situation. I can find work, but I don't have the skills, or I don't have the resources, or I can train resources, but I don't have work. So the reason why we tried to reach out to Pasha and the 2,500 companies that are part of the association is that they should maybe, even if they don't have the work, they can maybe start looking at upskilling the resources, getting the people trained in this, and then look out for work. I'm sure no company would set up a company. I'm not going to come into Pakistan, set up an IT company and say, okay, let me first find the work and then see if I can find the resources. I need to have a pool of resources to present to my customer that, look, this is who I am, give me work. So you have to go via the company route. That's why my suggestion was that the market leaders, the CEOs, so if they are on these sessions, then what I would request them to do is look at upskilling the resources and then look for work in your existing pipeline.
Yeah, I would say rightly pointed. Business development would not be an issue if we are focused on the delivery. You have said it right. So if we develop skills in this, like we have the muscles, so definitely we can find ways.
Yeah, especially if
rightly.
you have certified resources, then surely you can either be part of, and again, you don't have to be a partner to get work. Okay, most of you are not Microsoft resellers or Microsoft partners, yet you guys do development in Microsoft. Similarly with Oracle. So you don't have to be a partner. Yes, if you're a partner, one, you get recognized, two, you get work via Salesforce, but you don't have to be a partner to look for work.
Thank you
So
so
by
much.
that, okay, can I conclude? Okay.
Because we only have a very
Okay,
short amount of time, and we do have 3 pending questions as well. So if
Thank
possible,
you. No
let's
problem.
get back to that. Salman Dar would like to know what's the estimated Salesforce resource shortage in the UK and around the world?
I have to say, I have to admit, I don't have the breakdown. Apologies, I don't have the breakdown. I do have the projections. The projection was, this was a much smaller number. This was 4.5. about 2 years ago. The recent study now, and again here it shows you the study and where the number comes from. This has now gone up to 9.3 million. We did inspire to be a 50 billion company, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. You can see here from the graph, around 2020 or 2021, the company CEO inspired to be a 50 billion pound company by 2026. I think it was a 5-year plan. I don't remember if it was from 20 or 21. It was a 5-year plan that we were inspiring to double up the revenue. And you can see by 24, we are on target. So if I look at this graph, I'm not surprised if I become, or if Salesforce becomes by FY26 a 50 billion company. Now, if it's such a big company, if that's a revenue, then it means we are selling product. And if you're selling product, there are customers buying it and implementing it. Hence, this gap of the numbers that we were talking about earlier, that number will naturally grow to be 9.3 million. So yeah, there will be work out there.
Thank you.
In UK, I don't have the breakdown.
All right. And Simon Gul would like to know, for small software houses, is there any path in Salesforce to win clients?
Again, I think that's a question more for the partnership model, like how to get work. Apologies if I can't answer that, or I've tried to in the past, but I don't think I've, because I understand most of the companies would like to know, how do we get work? I'm more focusing today's session on how can you upskill, what you need to become a Salesforce resource, how to get work. Apologies, I'll have to back that one. And maybe ask you to look at the partnership module, or maybe I can see in future we can have a session where I can bring in someone from Salesforce more on the partnership side to see how we can get more people enrolled and what the benefit will be of that partnership.
Thank you. Salman, our last question for this session is, what are the chances of growth in terms of money in the Salesforce field as compared to developers or programmers?
Okay, good one. So that, because it wasn't in the right sequence. So this, and I believe, Fatma, you do have the updated number. So this was Pasha 2021. I'll zoom in on this one. So this is what I captured. And this came from a study done by Pasha from the local industry. And again, bear in mind, these numbers may not be inflation adjusted. This is from 2021. So go back 3 years or 2 years. As a junior level programmer, Salesforce was number 4 on the rank. So you started about 100K, move on to mid-level. Salesforce was still in the top 5, 162. And then moving on to the senior level, Salesforce jumped up to be number 2, 268. I believe with the inflation, again, jokingly, I'm saying these numbers I'm sure would have doubled by now. But if not, at least inflation would have doubled by now. But the reality is that the numbers are quite high compared to just a normal normal IT resource. So Salesforce resources do earn very decent amount.
Thank you, Salman. And just to add, yes, we have got an inflation-adjusted update of this report as well. Not a complete new report, but we did run some numbers, and we have something regarding inflation as well. Salman, over to you to conclude the session. And in case your question hasn't been answered, please do write it in chat. We will make sure that we get the answers over email and send them over to you.
Yeah, that'll be good. Otherwise, I'm just putting up my email. Sorry, we don't have an official channel to communicate. Maybe I was thinking of, maybe we can pass it as part of the Slack or something, that we can set up an more official channel to communicate for those interested in knowing more. But that's my email address. You can reach out to me on my personal email, and I'll see if I can answer any questions that I could not answer here. Okay, and that's it pretty much. Yeah, we are towards the end. Thank you very much once again for taking out the time and in attending the session. I understand it is late on your side, but would be really interested if you guys can, once we send out the survey, please give honest feedback. 1, it helps us improve. 2, it can help us plan the future sessions from here onwards.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This recording will be uploaded on YouTube as well. And as I mentioned before, please leave your questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.